This feels like a standard radio show if it were emceed by Mamoru Miyano.
どうですか今の気持ちはそうです。近いですね。
Also, yes, that's where that joke from Zombieland Saga came from. Once again, we got some good fallout from the last episode, with the rumors of the Little Mermaid still spreading, with even the school's radio sharing stories. Though in this case, they didn't reference Anderson's fish girl, but rather the more traditional depictions of the vindictive vixens of the sea, in particular Lorelei, which someone with a similar name didn't take too well. Now, excuse me. Hello? I called that! Yes, as I theorized in one of my early analysis videos for this show, Laura's name derived from the siren who killed many sailors with her hypnotic voice. And while they didn't directly name drop Lorelei, it's obvious that's who they were talking about here. Not as though the actual mermaid believed in that stuff. You ever think of starting a YouTube channel, Laura? Because we definitely need more of your type on this platform. Understandably, Laura was against such poor representation, even stating that she and much of her kind prided themselves on their singing, likely so that they could sell the song rights to Disney. Sango was able to corroborate her claims in yet another good callback, as just her humming led to their first meeting after all. Not that it stopped our main heroine from being slightly racist.
Now you listen here, Pip Pip, a racist mind is a racist kind.
Though, before any cancel hashtags could be started, they asked if Laura could sing them a little tune to maybe ward off some of those stereotypes. She refused, and yeah, you can guess where this episode was going. Later, the Precure encountered the school radio hosts who were taking requests of any sort, be they songs, as long as they were licensed by Toei, and even life advice. For them, they wanted to give the students something good to listen to during lunch, but of course, kids these days are way too jaded to ask for anything from them. Fortunately, the Tropical Club offered their services. This led to a pretty good scene where we got to see each of our main characters' personalities as they discuss what they could provide for the program. For anime VAs, I'm pretty sure they just putz their way through most of it. Hearing their discussions, Laura got interested, especially when they said talking on the radio could be an express ticket towards popularity. Thus, of course, she wanted to do the most popular part of the show, the viewers' Q&A. By any chance, are you gonna find some furries or the Illuminati to sing by your side? I'm just starting to realize how insane Ria Hidaka's resume is. However, they rightfully pointed out that while the listeners wouldn't see her, the radio operators would, so they turned her down. For now. The next day, the Precure went to the radio room where the MC was looking a little sickly. As it turned out, she had entered a jumbo parfait eating contest and won. Yeah, y'all ain't got nothing on the Mac 24/7 pancakes. Yeah, our state needs to learn a little more self-control. Seriously, I have no idea how some of these people enter these contests and don't die the next day. Though while she wasn't dying, the MC did get a bad stomachache, forcing the Precure to take over for her. With that, Manatsu handled the introductions and... Wait, who wrote this episode? Okay everyone, now ducking cover! To be fair, Yoshimi Narita's 2 episodes so far have been relatively more tame than her usual fare, though still, if you ever see this credit, do expect things to go at least a little over the top. Anyway, they did have scripts to read off of, though I guess Narita still wanted to play up Manatsu's lack of studies, so she couldn't read some kanji that wasn't really that difficult, especially considering the franchise she was a part of. You know Itsuki's not going to be happy with her. Thus, she decided to do what most radio hosts do and just wing it.
Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
Though even that was derailed for some Narita comedy as a Rouge match to slip in. And while all of this made the scene a bit of a jumbled, unfocused mess, I will admit, I really like this scream from Sango. With the program having become more disastrous than anime podcasts, they decided to switch out MCs, and Laura volunteered wearing a long skirt to cover her lack of toes. Yeah, just ignore those elbow fins or that top that I'm pretty sure most Japanese schools would allow anywhere near their premise. Again, I really like this continuity with Laura clearly having learned from the events of the last episode, but still, I can't help but think that they would be in a lot of trouble if a teacher stepped in, which they really should considering what just happened to Sango, but whatever. And to her credit, Laura did an excellent job emceeing the broadcast. Half that she's had to deal with Yoshitsuku Matsuoka's nonsense.
太陽と地球ぐらいの。
ずっともうその距離さ縮まらない。
However, during all of this, an attack by the villains had been launched, forcing the Precure into action. This was especially bad timing, as Laura still hadn't been able to do the Q&A section that she wanted to do. Obviously, they would need her to finish the monster off, but in a really good bit between her and the Cures, they were able to tell her to wrap up the program, and then just through eye contact, assured her that they would deal with it until she arrived. Good stuff that showed some subtle development between these characters, and led to some more material for the vocal albums. With that, the Precure went ahead to deal with a returning Chonge this week. Yeah, I've been looking forward to seeing this crap again after his last episode, though we unfortunately got no real follow-up to that stuff, even though this episode had the same writer. Anyway, he launched an attack, drained the energy from some rampant jerk-off shoppers, and the Precure arrived to save these off-season Black Friday consumers. Yeah, are we sure these guys are the villains? The fight this week was really nothing special at all. While they were understandably on the defense until Laura arrived, there was really not much fighting being done at all, or at least nothing that impressive looking. And even when she did arrive and did her thing, it just became a matter of Sango using Mirror Force before they finished it off. The next day, a ton of requests had come in asking for more Laura. Welcome to the club.
私もローラの歌聞きたかった。
Nah, you could probably hear something similar if you watch the second ending to Inuboku's Secret Service. Seriously, look it up. It's a really underrated song. With that, the episode ended with Laura quietly assuring them that the lead vocalist of Pretty Christia would return in due time. This was a fine slice of life episode that's obviously building up Laura's little arc throughout the series. I will say though, for a Yoshimi Narita episode, it wasn't nearly as over the top as I was expecting, though it did also have its moments. On the one hand, I'm glad they didn't go insane or anything, but at the same time, nothing much has really advanced, and I am starting to get a little worried that they're forgetting certain plot points. The biggest positive I can say about this episode was the overall good continuity throughout, between the Mermaid rumors still being in play, to Laura developing her Master of the Sky skills that, yeah, still need work. Regardless, seeing her take charge of the radio show and later integrating herself more with the humans she once looked down upon was nice to see. However, this also wasn't really advancing the overall plot, which has kind of stalled, especially for the villains, unfortunately. As I said last week, the Zenzen and Yaneda just don't feel like that much of a bigger threat, not helped by the generals, just doing their usual routines. This was especially disappointing for Chongie, whom last we saw seemed to be at his wit's end due to Butler's possible gaslighting. Here, while he was a little more motivated, we still got nothing about how things were going with his cooking, which I was legitimately looking forward to seeing follow-up to. Thus, while our main characters remain engaging, especially with some fun Yoshimi Narita writing this week, I am a little worried that they might be forgetting about the villains. Hopefully, this show can break away a little from Laura and maybe give us more about these villains who, again, I don't think we're doing that much evil this week. If you haven't seen it yet, I actually managed to finish my latest Toy Trinity video, where I mostly talked about Precure and Super Sentai, and Kamen Rider was kind of there. But yeah, it was just meant to be a bit of an in-between video where I took a look at the designs of both of the main leads of the current series and where their aesthetics might have originated from. Next up will be part 3 of my Gold Princess review, which will then be followed by another Toy Trinity video. Yeah, the third quarter of Gold Princess will reach a particular point where I'll finally feel comfortable tackling a certain subject. I promised it last year when I said I'd discuss what I think makes for a good pink or white lead, but as I've said, I think it's ballooned into a full-on analysis of what I think makes for a good toy lead, so look forward to that. And until next time though, farewell for now my friends, and if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go start investing in Crit Christia. Their stock is gonna go way up after this, I bet.